Back in the days when men were real men, women were real women, and small furry creatures from Alpha Centauri couldn't have you fired for using the wrong pronoun, if an adult with a penis turned on the waterworks, it meant they were either pissing or playing SimCity. And as someone of that vintage who possesses the Y chromosome, even though I clearly don't even lift bro, I'm not much of a blubber. That is, unless I'm watching a film and shit gets emotional, in which case, all bets are off, apparently. Of course, there are some films which is generally regarded as okay for men to cry at, and there's one, maybe two of those in the following list. But nearly all my choices fall outside of the guy cry category, and range from somewhat defensible for artistic reasons to, fuck me, this is embarrassing. Now, before we begin, I want to be clear that I haven't seen all the movies, so if you're expecting some sort of definitive assessment, hard cheese, mofo. That said, in preparing for this video, I did try and catch up on all the obvious tearjerkers that for whatever reason had passed me by, and some of them made the cut, but others surprisingly didn't. Also, inevitably, I'll be giving away a lot of endings and plot details, so if you're concerned about spoilers for films you haven't seen, I'll list the times below so you can skip ahead where necessary. And with that said, here are the top 10 movies that make me cry. Yep. Right off the bat, we're in Estrogen City, population me. The Notebook, about a poor boy and a rich girl in the 1940s whose love triumphs against all odds, is about as chick flicky as it gets. The Gosling plays Noah, you can tell he's poor because of the hat, who, instantly smitten with Ali, evil takes a human form, pulls a weapons-grade douche move by threatening to kill himself if she doesn't go out with him.
Okay, fine, I'll go out with you.
Yeah, encourage him, why don't you? They spend an idyllic summer together until Ali's parents wisely ban her from seeing him and ship her off to college. Noah buggers off to fight in the war, while Ali meets some wounded officer who conveniently gets unwounded and is also rich. She's all set to marry him when she goes back to see Noah, and then this happens. Yeah, try laughing about it when you live in Britain. We call that a moderate drizzle. And of course they do the nasty, and it's like, who will she choose? It's a chick flick. In my defence, I only moistened up over old Noah and Ali. She has Alzheimer's and he's telling her their story in the hope she'll remember. At this moment...
It was us. It was us.
Oh, my darling. Oh, my sweetheart.
And then at the end, when they die in each other's arms. I said there'd be spoilers.
Do you think our love could take us away together?
I think our love can do anything we want it to.
God damn it, old people. You got me. I'm not sure if this is a respectable choice or not. Obviously it's a much better film than The Notebook, but it's not exactly on the approved list of weepies for men. Anyway. Jimmy Stewart, of course, is self-sacrificing everyman George Bailey, who, despite being married to this vision of loveliness, is driven to the brink of suicide after his hapless uncle loses a fat wad of cash, instantly transforming the Bailey Brothers building and loan into Northern Rock. Gordon Brown was right, it did start in America. Saved by trainee Angel Clarence, he's shown what his quaint hometown of Bedford Falls would have been like if he'd never been born. Basically any British city centre on a quiet night, actually. Naturally horrified, George is getting upset! He begs to have his life restored and rushes home to face the music. Only instead of being carted off to jail, he finds himself the recipient of the mother of all bailouts after everyone he's ever helped comes together to pay off his debt. And, well, just watch.
That's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right.
Sure, have the world's most adorable child, why don't you? I was peeling some onions, okay? I haven't seen a lot of Chaplin, unless we're talking Una in Game of Thrones, and yeah, almost worth it. But I have seen this, his last American film, and when the poster proclaimed, "It will move you to love, laughter and tears," it wasn't lying. Chaplin plays an alternate version of himself, basically, an ageing alcoholic vaudeville clown whose glory days are far behind him. At the start of the film, he pulls a Clarence by saving a suicidal ballerina who's convinced an illness has left her paralysed, before figuratively and literally getting her back on her feet. As her star rises, however, the formerly famous clown is faced with a situation familiar to many a nascent YouTuber. Ouch. Close to home. Now it's the turn of the ballerina, who loves the clown despite the age difference, to save him, which she ultimately does by persuading him to do a big comeback gig with herself and others. The evening is a triumph, but at the end of a genuinely great musical skit, that's Buster Keaton at the piano, he suffers a heart attack, which of course proves fatal. The ballerina longs to stay with him, but...
Miss Teresa, you're on, please.
Where is she? I want to see her dance.
Wait a minute. You fellas.
And as age yields the stage to youth, so dryness yields to unmanly cheek dampening. Hey, when you're done with the clown, could you cover my face too? Mais oui, mes tear-glands sont un peu artsy-fartsy. And at number 7, it's the French romantic musical Les Parapluies de Cherbourg. La La Land this isn't. There's no choreographed dancing, and every single word of dialogue, no matter how trivial, is sung, which somehow works in a very nouvelle vague way.
Le moteur cliquait encore un peu à froid, mais c'est normal.
Like The Notebook, Umbrellas centres on two young lovers, dreamy car mechanic Guy and the radiant Geneviève, Catherine Deneuve in her breakout role, who assists her mother in the struggling titular Magasin. The pair are blissfully happy until Guy is called up to serve in the Algerian War, and we get a scene à la gare for which GCSE French did not prepare me. While he's away, Geneviève learns she has un bun in the oven and is courted by a wealthy diamond merchant with maman's encouragement. Fearing her sweetheart no longer cares for her, she eventually succumbs, and Guy returns to a Cherbourg sans umbrellas and sans Geneviève. Luckily for our abandoned monsieur, his godmother's shy and devoted carer Madeleine also loves him, and after only a modest amount of whoring, he builds a new life and a garage with her. But then comes an ending that defines the term bittersweet. Years later, by chance, Geneviève pulls in at the garage.
Tu veux la voir?
Je crois que tu peux partir.
va bien?
Oui, très bien.
C'est la vie and all that, but oh, the agony of what might have been. Quelle tristesse! More like terms of endearment, am I right, guys? Any guy? Okay, just me then. Yes, it's a talky, girly comedy drama about relationships. But in my defence, it has Jack Nicholson in it, there's only one bit that sets me going, a la It's a Wonderful Life, and, as attested by a string of Oscars, including Best Picture, it's a pretty decent film. Shirley MacLaine plays Aurora, an iron-willed southern widow. Deborah Winger is her free-spirited daughter Emma. Emma marries Jeff Daniels' rather underwhelming teacher, who rejoices in the name of Flap, over her mother's objections. Aurora is surrounded by suitors, but only really drawn to the womanizing ex-astronaut next door, played of course by Nicholson. Over the years, mother and daughter alternately support and antagonize each other as children grow up, affairs are conducted, and Nicholson unleashes his formidable potbelly. It's like the opposite of the ADD-paced, tween-targeted turds that Hollywood typically produces today. A measured exploration of relatable, interesting characters and how they deal with the joys and disappointments of real life. And then, spoiler! Emma gets cancer, and we watch as she's reduced from a disappointed yet feisty force of nature to a frail figure in a hospital bed. The scene where she says goodbye to her kids is bad enough, but that's merely the hors d'oeuvre to the following.
So stupid, somehow I thought when she finally went, that it would be a relief. Oh, my sweet little darling. Oh, there's nothing harder.
There's nothing harder, except my cock right now. Just trying to lighten the mood. On the plus side, this one has some splosions. On the downside, I'm admitting to crying over an asteroid movie. Deep Impact had a deep impact. Jesus Christ. So, a 7-mile-long comet, I guess technically this isn't an asteroid movie, is on a collision course with a big blue round thing, and humanity, led by a competent black president, is all like, fuck that noise. And we follow various characters as they attempt to avert or prepare for an end that's decidedly nigh. There's a bunch of astronauts, including token old guy Robert Duvall, no paunch this time, tasked with stopping the rock using some good old-fashioned nukes. There's Tia Leone's ambitious TV reporter who breaks the whole death from above story and has some serious daddy issues. And there's Mr. Frodo, who successfully parlays discovery of the comet into access to Helen Hunt Jr.'s pants, but doesn't manage to get her family into George Soros' bunker. Naturally, the spaceball racks up a hefty body count. Dicks out for Favreau. But the scene that really hits me is the one on the road, where Minnie Hunt's parents tell her to take her baby brother, because that's his only chance to survive, and they know it's their last moment together.
I love you. I love you too. I always loved you.
I love you.
Leo, take care, honey. I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon. Yes,
Get out of here, Leo. Go. Go to high ground.
Look, at least it's not Armageddon, which isn't to say that other film left me entirely unmoved. And most of the small particles have been vaporized. Yes, they have. Fuck Ben Affleck, though. Yep, you thought Terms of Endearment was embarrassing. This is a film in which much of the action, inverted commas, takes place in a beauty salon. Aside from an incongruous gun-toting viper, this contains about as much testosterone as Justin Trudeau at a Tupperware party. The setting is a small Louisiana town where Shelby, Julia Roberts, is preparing for her wedding, surrounded by her mother and other notable local ladies, played by, among others, Dolly Parton, Daryl Hannah, and Shirley MacLaine again. In the build-up to the ceremony and afterwards, we gradually get to know these women. We learn, for instance, that there's a Mr. Daryl Hannah who's done a runner and is wanted by the cops, and Shelby suffers from extreme movie diabetes and apparently can't have kids. It's just kind of one scene after another, with a lot of talk about hairdos. It's clearly targeted at an audience that enjoys arranging flowers and has opinions on ribbons. Your average Steel Magnolias viewer is not thinking things like, Tom Skerritt was in Top Gun and also this, and, weirdly, I'd have Daryl Hannah leave the glasses on. Yet it held my attention, and not just because of the glasses thing. And then, as in Endearment, tragedy strikes. It transpires that Shelby can have kids, but shouldn't, and when, post-Sprog, her body rejects her mother's transplanted kidney, Pretty Woman is soon pretty dead. Cue the heartbreak.
I'm fine! I can jog all the way to Texas and back, but my daughter can't. She never could. Oh, God, I'm so mad I don't know what to do. I want to know why. I want to know why Shelby's life is over. I want to know how that baby will ever know how wonderful his mother was. Will he ever know what she went through for him?
But then they're laughing again, so it's all fine. Finally, at number 3, we have a movie it's legit okay for men to cry at. Want to bask in our male tears, feminists? Too late, CGI playthings beat you to the punch. Years after the events of the previous instalment, the Toy Story gang face an uncertain future, with their owner Andy now 17 and off to college. A surprise decision sees Woody destined for a life of beer pong and STDs, but when an unfortunate mix-up convinces the others that Andy's a heartless bastard, he winds up joining them in a donation box bound for a nursery. At first sight, Sunnyside appears to be a toy's paradise, and the stuffed sheriff is once again the odd toy out when he elects to leave. Before long, though, the place is revealed to be a nightmarish prison controlled by the seemingly cuddly but actually deeply deranged Lotso. Found in a tree by a nice girl who attends the nursery, Woody soon learns this himself and returns to mastermind an elaborate breakout. Though the plan is foiled at the last minute, he manages to turn Lotso's hench toys against him, and the bad bear is blessedly binned. But after he pulls Woody down into the trash as well, the whole gang find themselves en route to the dump. The toys work together to survive a conveyor belt of doom until a last-minute betrayal by Lotso leads, believe it or not, to one of the most horrifying and moving and uncompromisingly real scenes in all of cinema. Jesus fuck! And having confronted you with the inherent tragedy of all existence, the film destroys what's left of your composure with a touching goodbye sequence wherein Andy gives his toys away to the aforementioned girl.
Now, Woody, he's been my pal for as long as I can remember. He's brave, like a cowboy should be. and kind and smart. But the thing that makes Woody special is he'll never give up on you. Ever. He'll be there for you, no matter what. You think you can take care of him for me?
All this from a film whose characters include a kinda sorta penisy looking horse and plastic potatoes. I'm not even ashamed of this one.
So long, partner.
Well, it was nice while it lasted. You could argue the previous film is for kids of all ages. This is for kids full stop. I only happened to see it because it was on some random channel one Christmas when I was bored. Yet, because I'm a bigger baby than the one in Toy Story 3, it swiftly sucked me in before making my eyes rain. Jess is a quiet, artistic kid who's forced to endure a ton of shit. His family are poor, he has 4 sisters, he's bullied at school, and his dad's a Terminator. Okay, his dad's strict and seems to favour the girls, in particular his little sister May Bell, who, in fairness, gives Jimmy Stewart's kid a run for her money adorability-wise. Yes, of course you can borrow the car, sweet pea. Jess's world is upended by new girl in town, Leslie, who, after emasculating him in a race, wins him over with a spot of praise and her persistent perkiness. Together they create a refuge in the woods near their homes, where they battle imaginary creatures and cement their friendship. Note to self, write spoof called Fridge to Terabithia, in which children discover a portal to a magical kingdom behind some out-of-date yogurts. It's probably been done. Various other kid movie things occur. They get sweet revenge on Queen Bully Janice before Leslie learns she has an abusive father and befriends her. Jess loses his dad's keys and becomes increasingly fed up with how he's treated. They acquire a dog. It's all very nice and Disney until Jess returns from visiting a museum with Zooey Deschanel and learns that Leslie died when the rope broke while she was swinging across a creek. The following scenes in which Jess and those around him come to terms with the loss, they're just devastating.
She loved you, You know, Leslie, she never had much luck making friends at her old school. We were hoping that when we moved out here, she would... She said if it wasn't for you. Jess, you're the best friend she's ever had. I want to thank you for that.
It's a terrible thing. It doesn't make any sense, but it's not your fault, Jess. She brought you something special when she came here, didn't she? That's what you hold on to. That's how you keep her alive.
And then Jess realises he's been a dick to May Bell, and there's a heroic bridge-building montage, and he leads his little sister across the bridge to become the new princess of the magical realm of imagination. Because nothing crushes us, May Bell. Nothing! So yeah, that's my number 2 choice. And if you think Bridge to Terabithia is a bridge too far, wait till you see what's number 1.
Hello? Yes, this is Ferrante. Who's calling?
That's right. The film all the women obsess over in Sleepless in Seattle, the film Tom Hanks accurately dismisses as a chicks movie, that's the number 1 film that makes me cry. Me, a man. Penis, not vagina. Breaking down every time without fail over an affair to remember. It's possible I need to get tested again. Cary Grant plays an international playboy, so Cary Grant, travelling by boat from Europe to New York to marry an immensely rich heiress. Again, Cary Grant. Also on board is perfect angel woman Deborah Carr, who's similarly involved with some unfortunate beta male provider back home. They meet, they flirt, they know they mustn't. They try to avoid being seen together by the other passengers, who are basically a bunch of dicks. We become acquainted with the film's ultra-sedate pacing. Glaciers? I've seen Diane Abbott move faster. The boat stops off at an idyllic French port, where they pay a visit to Cary Grant's grandmother, who must be about 124. I'm not saying his grandmother's old, but she still subscribes to the Telegraph. The electrical telegraph. That joke totally works. Partly thanks to Granny's unsubtle prodding, the couple's feelings blossom into love. So as the ship pulls into New York, they resolve to disentangle themselves and meet again in 6 months at the top of the Empire State Building. But fate is a cruel waitress, and Carr is hit by a car on the way to said appointment. Grant, who's transformed himself into a painter, assumes she deliberately stood him up and buggers off back to Europe for a bit. Carr, who doesn't want him to know she's now crippled, gets a job teaching drama school brats to sing. Sometime later they meet again, each accompanied by their former paramour, and without Grant discovering Carr's condition. Then, after learning her address, he pays her one final visit. He is, as they say in Sleepless in Seattle, very bitter. And still she refuses to tell him, though it's tearing her apart. Don't go! Don't go! No! No! But right on the threshold, right at the last possible moment before everything is lost.
You know, I painted you like that with the shawl. I wish you could have seen it. Courbet said it was one of my best. I didn't think I could ever part with it. But, well, there was no reason to keep it any longer, and I couldn't take money for it because, well, you know. So, Courbet told me a young woman came into the gallery and she liked it. She saw in it what I hoped you'd see, so I told Courbet to give it to her. Because he said she didn't have any money, and not only that, she was... Anyway, I told him to give it to her. Courbet said she wanted it so badly, and so I told him to give it to her. You know, it's the Christmas season and all that, and you know me,
and the
Holly
music
in my heart.
swells!
Darling, don't look at me like that.
Why didn't you tell me? If it had to happen to one of us, why did it have to be you?
Oh. It was nobody's fault but my own. I was looking up. It was the nearest thing to heaven. You were there. Oh, darling, don't worry, darling. If you can paint, I can walk. Anything can happen, don't you think?
Yes, darling, yes, yes, yes.
Yes, darling, yes, yes, yes! So there you have it. No Shawshank Redemption, no Green Mile, no Life is Beautiful even. Instead, the top 10 movies that make me cry include thrill-packed dramas, decorative thrills that is, a magical tale in which a little girl becomes a princess, and the quintessential women's weepy. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm off outside to chop some logs and bulk buy testosterone supplements. Oh God!